Okay, Tuesday morning in the kingdom, and I'm live on location like Les Netzman. Yes, we're over here. There's the canopy shed with the other flags. The USA flag, the Canadian flag, and the flag of Maine. Yes, the state of Maine, not where the Kennedy family's from. Yes. All right, so morning we woke up to plus 16, but feels like plus 16. And we all know if we reverse the numbers, we get the Fahrenheit temperature of plus 61 Fahrenheit, but feels like plus 61. Yes, it's so nice. No Dick yesterday at all. Never even heard him. So living in fear of Dick. Always keeping an eye out for Dick to make sure he doesn't crash on top of me or in my yard. That's like living in the same town as the ex-wife. You always have to look over your shoulder. So yesterday was a nice day with no Dick tormenting me. Yes, Dick in his helicopter. I live in fear of that. All right, so today we'll do a quick scroll this way. The sun is bright. The screen is all, how'd you say, glaring for me, so I don't know. But the sun is up there. It's slowly moving south. Yes, when I go to bed at 11 o'clock, I have to have the light on in the bedroom because our days are getting shorter. Yes, I went from, how'd you say, wandering around at 3 in the morning, still with daylight, we read a newspaper, to now we have to turn the light on. Yes, ooh, I think that was Belinda Carlisle, Leave the Light On for Me. Yeah, that was a good song back then. And she was up in age when she posed for Playboy, if I remember correctly. Yes. All right, let's scroll this way. We have wilderness, looks good. Look at that tree line, all nice and smooth. We got to get back to doing firewood and stuff, but the staff has her wisdom teeth coming in, so that one's really bothering her. So she's under the influence, so we can't have her working on equipment. All right, so there's the fleet. Yes, the 41 Chevy truck, the 39, and this one's the 69 Chevy with the 67 in the background. Yes, copies of the truck I had in high school. Yes, white with the gray door, 6-cylinder motor, cheap on gas because we were working after high school and driving the 15 miles back and forth to the pink house in Alexander. Yes, oh, the memories. And I had hair back then, not this frizzy stuff. Ooh, I'm having a bad hair day. And once I get the me phone out and start recording, the sandflies are all here. They're worse than an ex-wife. Oh, yes. As soon as you start, enjoying yourself, they arrive. All right. Today we're going to work on the UD16. Get that injection pump on. Let's see if we can crank it over and get some oil pressure. Because the oil pressure is the great... We really need that before it starts and runs. All right, we better go. Here comes the boss. He found me on location. Okay, seems how we have no staff today because of her wisdom teeth aching. Well, we know the weather's going to change. Also, too, it's very humid out here. Like I was sweating this morning doing the morning intro. Okay, so over here, first thing we do is clean this all up and make a gasket. Yes, make the gasket because it's easier to tap out this hole here than trying to figure it out on the pump first. So I came out here, tapped out the center hole, and then we went in the shop to finish it off on the injection pump. Also, too, some of these items have to and require a gasket because back in the day they allowed for the gasket thickness, so it had a thick gasket, so I went for this thicker stuff. All right, and Caterpillar is the worst. You have to have a gasket. If you try to use the gasket goo and don't have the thicknesses, everything doesn't work out for some reason. Oh well, just like a marriage. Okay, at my age, I learned a long time ago we have to make the gasket first because if not, we'll be in a hurry because we got the injection pump together. We're running out of time and the boss doesn't pay overtime because he's an asshole. So we run out there and we won't have a gasket. Also, too, IH injection pumps love this here. Okay, they put a stud in here. So when you feed it into the motor, then you have to put a washer and a nut on this stud. So that's 2 times you could drop something into the motor. So we take out this stud, all right, and replace it with a bolt. But it takes a bit of trial and error to get the right length of bolt. We use the feeler gauge right here to measure the thickness on the plate that it has to go through. And then we go through the collection or assortment of these. All right, I'm going to switch hands to show you the importance. You have to have this bolt tighten up before it goes any farther. Watch this here. So you tighten it in. I'm Hercules. Look at this. Oh, did you hear that, Les Nessman? Okay, let's see if we can get this wiggled. All right. This bolt goes through and bottoms out to whichever this is connected to. So that's not of a how would you say, it's of a great importance. You don't want that, but it's a lot better to have a bolt going through than to have a washer and a nut that you can drop inside the motor. And then how do you find them? All right, let's continue this quest because we have the injection pump tidied up. I had it apart back in 2017. We'll explain what I did or didn't do back then. Okay, back in 2017 when we had the motor running on gas, I had taken the top off of here. I forget why, probably go after these plungers, okay? But we also had a problem with fuel pressure getting into here. It was coming out the little O-rings here that actually keep, just to keep the dirt out. There's no pressure. And you shouldn't have fuel in this body here because the fuel stays in the fuel lines and goes out the injector. So if you got fuel and pressure in the body here, we have a problem. Okay, these are the little transfer pumps or pumps, okay? So what it does is it builds pressure and go back and forth to the filters, and you can take these apart, but they are a pain in the ass because the gaskets are so thin. But this one has a new upgraded seal because usually it's just packing stuck in here. Somebody's over the years it's got a new one. This is where they leak, okay? So if you have a machine sitting and this thing fills up with fuel instead of oil, that comes from this seal here. But the thing is we use the cats only in the winter, so we drain out the fuel out of here, put some new oil in, and good to go. And I've taken these apart in the past. They're a pain in the ass, and I'm not going to do it. So we're trying to figure out how fuel got into here, okay? So if the gasket isn't good around here, it'll put it in here. And if the seal isn't good, it'll put it in here. So we're slowly checking things over, being careful. I'm going to say most likely the gasket. I've done a blow test on the seal, like blowing in here, and nothing seems to come out here, okay? So we're going to have a learning curve, because in the past, I would take these pumps off, send them down south, so I could pay people a lot of money to screw them up. Yeah, but in the past, we also just bought another one. If this one was acting up, just buy another one, because they were a dime a dozen, they were cheap, and the freight to the end of the world was cheap. But that was 20 years ago. Now, the freight to get anything up here is unreal. So 2019 on the twins, the TD9, known as Kijiji and Freefall, okay? I learned a lot about pumps back then, and I'm still learning today, and we're going to learn some more today, because this is what we're going to have to do to figure it out. Once we can get this thing, how would you say, rotating around and no fuel in here, in this area, then we're good to go. So it's going to be a time-consuming, long process, but the thing is you just plug away and learn, okay? All the manuals for these things are online now. You don't have to buy them on eBay or a friend scan and send you the pictures, okay? So that's what I said, it's a learning curve, but I really don't want to take this little pump apart. I don't really care if it pumps fuel because we'll be putting an electric fuel pump on to, how would you say, eliminate the problem of it not building pressure or whatever, or not being able to pump. We just got to figure out how to keep it from going in here. Okay, I got looking at the little transfer pump, and I got my bar stool out so I could sit down like Norm, and that's what I'm going to do. All right, this motor is a 1953, which is approximately the time of WHO-ville, okay, becoming a town, and this was the town of WHO-ville. So this is a newer style pump. There's not a series of plates like the older ones that I have on my IH cats because they are the 1940s. So in between these plates, you'd have these wax gaskets over here. So I took it apart very carefully, and I think this is the bypass plunger thingy-me-bob. It goes in like that. So the fuel comes in here, gets strained a bit, and then, how would you say, it goes into the pump here. So if it's got too much fuel, it will send it back over to the return and then head to the tank, okay? So there was a little bit of dirt and grime. We got things smoothed out, okay? And this thing seems to be working. Also too, I went from the, how would you say, the brake clean over to the carb clean, because the carb clean seems to have a lube in it and it doesn't evaporate as fast. We got it fairly clean in here. I think we can reassemble. Hopefully that is good. I've done another air test on here to see if this seal is, how would you say, really leaking, and it doesn't appear to be. Okay, lunchtime in the kingdom, and I got the gaskets cleaned off of everything, okay? So the hard part was getting the ones out of here. And I had paper towel down in here, but there will be dirt down in there. We know that for a fact. So we're going to have to take the bottom off and chase everything out. Plus we can do a visual inspection. Because remember, this was a complete operating grader that I stole. Oh, the steering was broken. The live hydraulic and the live shaft to the power of tower, there's a tower of power, was sheared right off, or no teeth left on it. So we're not sure if this pump actually works. Okay, so we'll have to do that. And the main thing here, this is a thick gasket. Like, that's kind of thick. And then the gaskets we're taking off the pump, and in here, that's half, right? That's it's come apart in half. So I have to make sure that this here fits down in here, okay? So the whole idea is this has to touch, these have to seal. Yeah, oh, hand and eye coordination. Yeah, so I can't, thoughts required. Do I have to put a thick gasket here, a thin one here to make sure it works? So I used the vernier or the feeler gauge, felt right there and felt right there. Oops, looks pretty close. So we'll have to, thoughts required on this. So that's why we're going to have to consult with Jack Daniels at lunch. Any excuse to have a drink. Okay, after lunch in the kingdom, and I made some gaskets. Yes, we have the hole punch things here. Yes, a selection of them, not a collection, or a assortment of them. Yes. So we made the gaskets, and then with this being offset, those holes line up only one way, as long as your gasket is tight in the hole. And then what I did was I made this one first, and then I bolted the pump on here, tightened it right up, and then I used this gasket to feel in there to see if it was going to be tight. It is a kind of a snug fit in here when it's tight, but I'll put a layer of gasket goo on the pump itself. So I have to take this pump off when it's on the machine. The gasket goo will stay on that side of the gasket. So it'll come with the pump and easy to clean. All right, let's lay this thing over, take the bottom off, and clean out the debris that we've chased down the hole. Okay, this is where we got apart and when it was on the grader. Okay, so I've marked everything because rights and lefts and everything. So these are the plungers that go up and down to make the fuel pressure that opens the injectors. Okay, so it's pretty simple design, easy to work on, and we'll just take it apart and clean it and make sure. I think the main problem with this thing was it was filling up with pressurized diesel, so that's why we gave up. So I think we've corrected the problem down in here, hopefully. Okay, just double checking what I did 7 years ago in 2017. Okay, I had the plungers out. Okay, this is a 6-cylinder motor, so it has the 2 plungers. Okay, if it's a 4-cylinder motor, it'll only have the 1 plunger, so it'll be just 1 and 4 of these. Okay, so the plunger goes up and down to create hydraulic pressure. Okay, so what happens is this little rod here gets stuck. Okay, there it is there with the spring. This thing here gets gummed up, and this thing has a groove in it. So when it, how'd you say, it's pumping or whatever, pushing more fuel through, and that's done by this here. All right. See, this turns. Okay. Can you see that, Les Nessman? All right. See there. So that's more fuel, less fuel. And those gears are controlled by the rack. So here's your fuel thing. Zoom, zoom, more power. The rack opens it up, sends more fuel through as it's pumping away. All right, so what happens is these get gummed up. So when you take it apart, all right, this is like a filter. There'll be gum all over it. And there'll be gum on top of that. And gum in here. So if this piston or this rod doesn't move, it's usually in the upward, stuck in the upward position. So you just have to take it apart, clean everything, and you take the screws out, it comes apart even more. I'm just double checking what I did back then, because, you know, I do have a drinking problem. Oh, wait, yes, I do. All right, let's get this reassembled, and then it'll be beverage time, and hopefully we can put it on the motor. Okay, the next fun part is timing it. All right, so we got this one in the front pump, or the plunger. So if you move the rack back, you can see the space right there. See that space? I don't know if we can see that. How about now? How about now? All right, there's a space in the teeth, okay? And a little nipple there, titty, yeah, guide titty, yeah. So over here, we have the guide titty right there, or the notch for the guide titty, and look at the space. So line up the guide titty with the tooth. So you got to be, the tooth has to be lined up with the hole, okay? So then the top part here, this ring, also has a notch in it too. Oh, trying to do this left-handed and I'm right-handed. Oh, okay, whatever. Let's put it in. So you got to make sure that this is all the way in, and then it'll go in. If it doesn't go in, you have a lineup problem. So it takes your time, okay? I can't do it with one hand and hold the camera at the same time. So trust me on this. That's what I told her in the bedroom. Oops, I shouldn't have said that. Okay, to get the keeper back on the spring, you got to pull the plunger thing up with like this. You put your leg into it. Yeah, it's just like Aunt Margaret. And then you use the forward flathead spring squeezer thing. Reach in there, push down on the spring, and then you can install the keeper. So that's how we do it at the end of the world. Okay, just about 5 o'clock and we got the pump back together. Yes, and we don't have O-rings for under here, so we use the next best thing, gasket goo. And under these copper washers here, there's 4 of these O-rings, but they're square O-rings in the IH world, and we're going to try round ones. I think we failed on the round ones over here. Yes, I think the round ones didn't work, but oh well, we'll have to accept it or see what we got here. Let's see if we can get these pumps to pump or whatever. But the main thing is we're getting it back together, and then we can make a parts list to take it apart and do it again. But this is no problem if we have to take these big nuts off on the plungers to get to the proper O-rings, because it's just this little bolt at the back here, which is actually the fuel supply. That's nothing to take off and get this opened up. All right, let's see if we can get the pump on before it rains. Okay, we got the injection pump on and the fuel lines are on to each injector. Okay, so that's going good. We got lots of never sees. We're having fun. And seeing how this is a married pump to the motor, they have this little bracketry here, so that makes it very unique to the UD16. All right, so over here we have it timed to 0. That's what the book calls for. Somebody has made a dot here because maybe that's where it was timed one time. But this pump has also been apart because there's no seal tag on it showing that it was sealed from the factory. Plus it's a different color on the backside. It's actually green, the staff says. So when we got it timed to there, so now we can put the cover on. Also too, we have rust on the top of the gear here because this piece here, there's 2 pieces that go together and it naturally leaks. It's common on the IH cats of this model or year. So we just put some gasket goo over the top and call it good. Also too, you can see here we have a space because the round O-rings don't fit like a square ones. The square ones will make it lower, but we'll put that on the to-do list, find some square O-rings. Okay, the love batteries didn't have enough love in them, but it's kind of strange I didn't charge them enough because it's no problem starting the TD18 all winter as long as we were doing something. All right, so I got the 45 Chevy running to boost the love batteries on the TD16 motor. All right, we'll walk closer to see the oil pressure. Okay, that worked out very well, but that's why Jack Daniels and I consulted, and that's why we put this UD16 on the back of the 45 truck, because we can drive it over to the pressure washer over here, we can move it around, and that's the whole idea, because we have loaders, forks, green toys, everything like that. We could have lifted it up, put it on the skid, whatever, but this works out better. Plus, in the past, we've done these stupid things where you're trying to get it going, you kill the batteries, you're jimmy rigging everything together, scabbing it together using booster cables. No, do it right, and then we can boost off of this truck here because the battery's right there, and it's a high amperage alternator. Plus this truck has a choke on it, a hand choke, So all winter it gets it gummed up. So giving it a good run with a piece of wood under the gas pedal, get the RPMs up, clean out the system, right? Because we can't really go for a boot down the highway. Well, no fenders, no plates, no nothing. Yeah, so that's what I mean. It was well planned out, because this is the way you do it. You don't grab the ether and go, will it start, and get 1 million views because you blew it up. No, we're salvaging and saving this motor because it has a lot of history. Like whoever did the work on this motor, being remote. And you have to remember WHO-ville, when this machine was brand spanking new, they only had rail access back in the 50s and an airplane. Yeah, they had 4 planes a day come from the south, so that's how the supplies were. But they had good mechanics, good welders back then, because it was the mine, because they were mining and everything. All right, let's tarp this up and call it a day.
Tuesday morning in WHO-ville, and it's just after 9:30 a.m. and I'm getting out of bed. My wisdom teeth are still pretty sore, so we're not doing anything in the kingdom today. My dad's just going to tinker around on a few things. This is the temperature we're sitting at right now. It's 21 degrees Celsius, which is 69 degrees Fahrenheit. We even had the feels like on the bottom. Now it's time to head inside, let the dogs out, and make breakfast. 2 p.m. and I'm just getting ready to pull the quad out so I can head up and do mail and then go over to the kingdom and see what my dad's up to. As you can see, it is pretty cloudy out here and it looks like it might rain. This is the temperature we're sitting at right now. It's 26 degrees Celsius, which is 78 degrees Fahrenheit. We even have the feels like on the bottom. Now it's time to let the dogs back in and go up and do mail. Just after 2 p.m. and I made it to the kingdom. There was nothing in the mail today, which is normal. Now I'll head on down to the shop and see what my dad's up to. Pretty sure we're not doing anything today because my teeth are still really sore, as you can see from my swollen face. But let's head on down and see what he's tinkering around on. Down at the shop now, it was perfect timing. It just started to rain when I got here, so I helped my dad cover up the grater motor. Now I can head inside and grab my dog treats, then I'll go back to WHO-ville and do the weather around 5 or so. As you can see, it's getting pretty dark out here. Maybe we'll get some thunder and lightning. 5 p.m. and this is the temperature we're sitting at right now. It's 26 degrees Celsius, which is 78 degrees Fahrenheit. We even have the feels like on the bottom. It's been pretty nice out there today, kind of windy, which made no mosquitoes or sandflies. As you can see, it is pretty cloudy out here and the sun is trying to peek out through the clouds. It's been trying to rain on and off all day. Now it's time to head inside, let the dogs back in, make supper, and end my day.
Okay, that was a very productive day. Yes, and the grader's looking good. The wind's getting up. Maybe we're going to get a storm tonight because it was warm today. I broke out in a sweat. Yes. Oh, well. All right, so I'm very pleased with that. Okay, look at the flags. Look at them in their natural state of kind of being limp, sort of, maybe, kind of. All right, let's go walk the dogs, drink some beer to celebrate. We have oil pressure. Everybody have a drink, and we'll talk to you later.